Embracing Yuletide Beauty, 5 Ways to Experience the Season. Welcome back everyone, merry meet, I'm Witch Hazel, and today I thought we'd chat a little bit about the winter time and what to do when you are in the doldrums part of it. We're going to start with kind of the pros and cons of the Yuletide season. I will admit, this is not my favorite season. I prefer autumn. Honestly, that's my favorite. But that said, there are some very wonderful parts to the winter season, and that's hard to remember sometimes when we are faced with a lot of dreary weather or cold weather, lots of snow. I am lucky that even though the area where I live does get a lot of potential snow, we have a very long snow window, basically 6 months. When we do get snow, it generally doesn't last long. It will snow and then melt, the sun will come out, and then it'll snow again. So we don't generally have long periods of gray, bleak weather. But for those of you who do, I know it can be very depressing, right? Seasonal depression. So let's talk a little bit about some of the positives of the season and how we can use those to enhance our experience of the winter time. I'm going to go over 5 of my favorite things during this season that kind of lift the spirits and make me a bit happier to be at home during the winter time. First, probably the easiest thing to talk about in December especially is decoration. Many times around about November, December, this is when everyone starts putting up holiday lights. Holiday lights are wonderful for lifting the spirits and making you feel happy in the dark and gloomy days. So what I have found, and I know people who do this purposely, I don't, there are many people who end up putting up holiday lights and just leaving them up for the entire winter because it just makes the atmosphere in the home nicer. So that's one thing, you can decorate with holiday lights. So put up lights if they make you happy. The other thing is other decor, things like a wreath at holiday time. This is a very good one for pagans in particular because we like our circle symbolism, we have our evergreens, we have our sparkly things or colorful things like holly, mistletoe. We can add in ribbons, we can add in dried slices of orange or cinnamon. You can just go all out with a wreath or a few of them, or even, what do you call that? Like arrangements in a vase that use the same elements, like evergreen branches and, you know, pine cones on a stick, all of those things. Again, bring nature in, bring the winter time in, but make it jolly, make it festive. If you have any other decorations that remind you of happy things at this time of year, put those out. And there are a couple of ways you can go about this. I know some people who will change out their art on the walls to match the season. They might have art of a wintry landscape, a beautiful winter landscape at the winter time, or maybe they might prefer to have artwork of sunny, warm beaches during the winter time. You know, change things up a little and see if you can brighten the space that way. Same thing goes for if you can find flowers or anything like that to put in the house. There are so many hothouse flowers these days. You can buy them in the market and you could get something colorful. Get colorful things to brighten up your space. All right, so that was decorating. The second thing that I love to do at this time of year is listen to music and read stories. So music is a great way of having just kind of a background ambiance. Personally, I love putting on some just relaxing classical music, either piano or cello. It just has this nice little, I don't know, coffee shop vibe to it that I adore. And I could listen to all day. So that's one option. You also have, the reason I bring up stories, I love to read. And what better activity on a cold day, on a rainy day, on a snowy day, when you know you're going to be stuck inside anyway? Read a book, get caught up on some reading, get ahead. If it's January and you have that, these are how many books I want to read in a year goal, get started on that. Reading is a wonderful way to pass the time and a wonderful way to travel to other places and other times. So if your current weather situation has you down, travel through a book to some island paradise somewhere. Reading is a wonderful activity for the winter time. Third on my list, I have introspective activities. So again, we are in that time of year, especially November, December. We're starting to gear up to the new year and all of the wonderful things that we want to accomplish in that new year, right? And this is everything from mundane things to spiritual things, witchy practice. We're planning out our wheel of the year already and all of our Sabbats. This is a great time to do that because, again, very often we get stuck inside because the weather outside is not inviting. So what are we going to do? Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, instead of binge watching YouTube, unless of course it's this channel, which by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that because I have lots of fun videos coming up for you that mesh together the ideas of the practical side of witchcraft and the more in-depth spiritual practice. But as said, you don't want to overdo on these activities. What you want to do is find things that are going to be meaningful to do in this downtime. So think about, reflect on your past year, things you've accomplished, things you didn't accomplish, how you want to do things differently next year, what you want to do the same. Get all of those thoughts going. Write it all out on paper. Do a mind map and brain dump, all of that. Vision boards. Crafting and introspection is also a great thing to do at this time of year. Also, I want to add in that if you have come to the end of the year and are perhaps not too happy with how you ended your year, maybe you're feeling a little bit lost and adrift, not knowing what really you want to do with your life, now is also an excellent time to go through my Life Path bundle, which I have linked below for you, and see if it helps you to gain a better insight of what your life path is and how you want to follow it. So this ties in also with another favorite introspective activity that I have, which is journaling. I'm going to talk much more about journaling in another video for the new year, but basically doing this work and incorporating journaling into this work can be very insightful and helpful at this time of year as you gear up for the new year. All right, so that was, let's see, number 3. Number 4, we have food and beverages. Again, we are stuck indoors. It is cold outside. We love warm things at this time of year. Warm meals, warm drinks. I am a huge hot cocoa fan. I love my hot cocoa. Tea, if you did not catch my video on holiday tea blending, go ahead and go watch that. I will have that linked for you. I give you a recipe for my latest endeavor in terms of holiday tea. And it's just fun. It gives us something active to do It gives us something to experiment with. I have been really enjoying experimenting with new ways of cooking, new sauces, and also different regional kinds of cooking, the types of foods that I was not raised with, that I don't know how to cook. I've said, well, let me see if I can cook it. Things like Indian food or Japanese food or Mexican food I had plenty of growing up in Southern California. But again, let me see if I can make something that tastes good. It's a great time for experimentation, especially since this is not something we really want to do in the summertime when it's hot out. We don't want to be standing over a hot stove, right? But in the wintertime, it's a different story. Get into baking. I am not such a great baker, but yeah, again, experimentation. The other nice thing is you can set on a simmer pot. I love simmer pots, like potpourri pots. Remember when those were a thing back in the 80s? They disappeared. Set a little pot on the stove, get it to simmer, and add in your favorite spices and things, some cinnamon, some orange, some anise, some anything that you can think of that brings out the scent of the season. Put that on. Not only does it help to bring more of an upbeat seasonal scent to your home, it helps with humidity if that is a problem like it is here in Denver. We get very, very, very dry, especially in the winter time. So having a simmer pot is a great way to help with that. All right, so that was food and drink. And then my last item, number 5, I could not leave out the outdoors. Yes, everything else has been talking about being indoors because primarily, at least for me, that's where I am in the wintertime. I do not go out when it's gray and snowy out unless I have to. That said, again, the gray and snowy days are not too often around here. I can have very cold but very beautiful outside days here as well. In those moments, on those days, that's when I am really very grateful to be living right next door to a park, not too far from another large park, and right next door to the botanic gardens. Because here again, I can get out into nature and I can enjoy the beauty of it. Now here's the trick. Do not bring headphones. Don't do it. Do not bring headphones. You're going to go out into nature, you're going to walk, and you're going to see what you see. You're going to find that blue jay kind of tucked away into those beautiful green evergreen boughs on that pine tree. You are going to see the glitter and sparkle of the snow. You are going to see what little plants and flowers are attempting to keep their grip on being seen out and about, right? This is the fun of the season. Do you have any lakes or ponds in your area? That one park I mentioned, it's a man-made lake. I don't know, it's more of a large pond in my estimation, but go look at the ice. How thick do you think it is? Look at the variations of the color on the ice. If you're really lucky, you may find some wildlife heading out onto the ice. I found last year a fox out on that pond. I didn't even know we had any foxes here in town. But there were 2 of them out on the ice. So go out and be part of nature and experience the beautiful side of winter. All the different variations, the gradations of blue and white and the snow and the sparkle and the water. Now, if you live in a place that does not have snow, there are still many beautiful things that you can go and find. Look around you. The season is completely different. What can you see now that you couldn't see in the summer when all the leaves were out on the trees? How does the landscape look different? How are the colors different? And they are different Take note of it because the sun is in a different angle now at this time of year. If you have any artistic ability, which I unfortunately do not, see if you can sketch or paint or draw the space around you and keep that and do one for each season and compare. You will be amazed how different the world looks when you take the time to notice it. So there you have it, everyone. Those are my 5 favorite wintertime activities, which I feel really enhance my experience of the season. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also let me know in the comments what your favorite wintertime activities are. Because if there are any I can steal, I will gladly do so and let you know how I liked it. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Until the next video, blessed be.